Hi, in this video I'd like to discuss how I play my left hand traditional grip. The left hand traditional grip comes from the marching tradition, okay, where the drum was up on the angle and the drum was played this way for the sticks to be nice and parallel to the surface. If they played in the match grip, which is both hands matched, the elbow would have had to be way too high to get that position. So this traditional grip comes from the marching tradition and is taken over onto the snare drum here, hence the angle to sort of replicate that sort of comfortable position. Okay, so posture is really important with this. You don't want to be playing where you find yourself sort of angling. You'll start to get niggles in the back and you'll get a sore neck, and I've done all that, it's horrible. So keep everything nice and straight and allow yourself to play in this natural position, and it'll be easier and it'll feel way more comfortable. And getting the height so the arms just feel like they're hanging naturally from the shoulders, okay? You don't want to be playing down low on your legs. You don't want to feel like you're playing up too high. So just to remind, the full stroke, the stick starts high and finishes high, and it's a loud stroke. There is a previous video that explains the full stroke in a bit more detail using the matched grip. Now, in regard to how the stick sits in the hand, again, it's that relaxed hand position. The stick rests in on the webbing between the thumb and the first finger, with the balance point of the stick resting in that fulcrum position. That ring finger is resting underneath the stick, acting as a support. The forearm is then lifted up, and this hand is a bit more sort of out and open, ready to come down and play the full stroke. I've heard some drum teachers talk about a karate chop, where you're coming down and you feel like you're sort of flicking down and pulling back up. I think it's a good reference because it focuses in your attention in on what the hand and the arm's doing rather than what just the stick's doing. Okay, so if you're coming down with the forearm and it opens out and flicks down like a karate chop and snaps back up into that starting position, that's sort of what it all feels like, to be honest. Make sure there's no tension at all between the thumb and the first finger. This is acting as a guide for the lift and then gets out of the way for the rebound back up into the starting position. It takes a while for this to feel good. Some common problems that I've seen with some of my students is this sort of thing where it's a bit tight and it's a bit sort of up and down with the hand sort of facing up rather than sort of to the side. Okay. When it comes up, there's a bit of that. It's sort of open, but when it comes down, it's definitely coming down more on the side. And then as it hits, we're relaxing enough to allow that stick to come back up. We're following it back up with the forearm and the wrist. If it just starts to feel horrible and you're just not getting it, just go back to that reference stroke or the multiple rebound stroke and just get used to that feeling of lifting and dropping. Now, when you play the full stroke, it's similar. You're lifting and dropping, but rather than leaving it down for the rebound, you're following it back up. Okay, so the definition of the downstroke is the stick starts in the high position and finishes low. So you'll see there that that's the same position as we've had before with the hand. That ring finger is acting as a bit of a support. Nice relaxed first finger and thumb. The stick starts high with the forearm up. The wrist is sort of turned out. As the stick comes down, the stick is just caught and the stick stays in that low position. So the stick starts high and finishes low. So the fact that the stick's travelling from this height means that it's going to be quite loud. Okay, you don't have to sort of slam it down too hard. Just drop it down and just catch. And just try and alleviate any tension in the fingers or any jarring sort of pain in the fingers, and just try and make it feel nice and even and balanced, where you sort of you start in the high position and finish low. Now that leads us to the upstroke, which is the stroke that sets up the downstroke. Now for the upstroke, the stick starting in the low position, it's a sort of inward turn of the wrist. The elbow comes out a little bit. I've heard some drum teachers talk about it's a sort of motion where you're looking at your watch. So it's that sort of thing. You don't want to get too caught up in that extreme motion of that, but that's sort of what's happening. It sort of lifts and then it sort of flicks back down to that downstroke. So you'll see the elbow kicking out a bit, just like the right hand does. So, you know, there's very similar motions there. If you compare the up and the downstroke there, you'll see that it's kicking out on the up and kicking down for the downstroke. As you're lifting and the stick flicks down, it's sort of like some of the fingers have to sort of get out of the way a little bit to allow that stick to whip down. So when you're playing these down and up strokes, just make sure the tip of the stick is travelling straight up and down. A good way to check in on this is to have like a vertical stick as a guide, and then you can check the line of your stick and make sure the tip of the stick is travelling up and down that line and it's not sort of travelling in sort of these sort of weird circles. Just be careful when you do this that you don't come down and crack the knuckles. Okay, that does hurt. Alright, that's just another little tip just to check in that the motions of the stick are travelling the correct way. Now, the definition of a tap is that the stick starts low and finishes low. So it's going to be a soft stroke. Now, when I'm playing the tap, I've got the stick sort of resting on this sort of ring finger here. Very relaxed thumb and first finger. And that middle finger is just sort of up out of the way there. It can rest on the stick, but it's not stopping any sort of mini rebound that we're getting with the tap. So as the stick hits, the stick will rebound back up a little bit. And our job is just to sort of catch and control that sort of very low rebound. Same, it's no different to the right hand. Your wrist is generating the power there. The stick is just ever so slightly rebounding through those fingers. It's exactly the same here. Instead of the wrist going up and down, the wrist is sort of twisting with the forearm, and this relaxed hand position is just allowing the stick to rebound. So that completes the 4 stick motions using the traditional grip. Once you get hold of these concepts with your left hand and your right hand, then you're ready to really start using the 4 stick motions in a musical way. The book includes lots and lots of exercises how you can use these in a sort of rolling soloistic way to develop speed and control with your hands. It also has a comprehensive list of grooves which enables you to play along to the songs from the discographies. So you're going to be building up coordination and rolls and soloistic ideas using these 4 stick motions. Okay, thanks for listening. See you on the next one. Take care and cheers.